What's up, everybody? This is Gibby from Team Perfect Curve, and this is the Druid section of our Perfect Perspective Conquest decks. So today I'm going to go into every card in Druid, why they're in there, and going over Druid's individual matchups. I definitely feel Druid's one of the more powerful decks in tournament and ladder play, so let's just get into it and I'll tell you why. So first off, we have 2 Innervate. This is pretty much like the card that defines Druid. It lets you cheat out early minions, Innervate out Shade on 1 is just really strong. On 3 you can go Innervate, drop a 7-drop, drop a boom, and if they don't have BGH they're going to lose. So obviously great card. It's what makes Druid Druid. Zombie Chow, one of the ways to punish Druid and pretty much any kind of deck like this is to just get early damage in before I'm able to start doing what I like to do, which is ramp up with growth. So Zombie Chow just takes away some of that aggression, as well as like has a little, not even little, it's huge in that matchup against Mirror Entity. Zombie Chow is your lifesaver. Like that card just destroys Druid, and Zombie Chow makes it a non-issue. It actually makes it an advantage for you. So that's why I won Zombie Chow. Like I don't think I'll include 2 Zombie Chow in any of my decks just because it's absolutely useless later on. Wild Growth is the point of playing Druid. Like I play Druid because of Wild Growth. It lets me play turns ahead of my opponent. Like even if our cards are exactly equal, if I'm playing Boom 2 turns before they can even like think about playing Boom, I'm playing Boom to the Belcher, I'm gonna win. So that's why I think this is the reason why Druid is as powerful as it is, and also why it's a card you should all be pretty much hard mulliganing for. Wrath is a great card. Like every class I feel has this mechanic of just a real cheap 3 damage removal spell, Dark Bomb, Frostbolt, whatever. This has a little bit extra, and it also acts as a Mortal Coil. So later in the game, you're able to snipe off bigger minions you weren't just quite effectively enough to trade with, and gives you draw power. And at the end of the day, this is a combo deck, so draw power is extremely important. Savage Roar, amazing card. Amazing that it gives your hero +2 as well. So this is part of the combo. You can use it to trade up. You can kill people out of nowhere with this card. Any kind of field of little minions becomes incredibly dangerous just because of the threat of Savage Roar. This is a huge advantage for the Druid player because any kind of little minions you have not only are threatening because of you might have Savage Roar, your opponent has to deal with them a lot of times in unfavorable ways just to make sure they don't lose the combo or just in general Savage Roar. So card's amazing, obviously a 2-of. Shade and Extramus, pretty simple why it's in here. You can Innervate Shade against some decks. It's really good. It's a good 3-drop because you need something to follow up, like a Coin Growth. If you have a 3-drop, it's right then. So you just need a 3-drop in this deck, and unfortunately 3-drops are very, very lackluster. But Shade fits its role best in this deck because even late game, if you drop a Shade, that's going to be 5 more damage to your combo. You just stick an Idiot, it goes to 3, add 2 to it, so that's why it has this place in this deck. Swipe is one of my favorite AoE cards. It just got a lot worse with Patron. So it's still really, really good, just not good in that matchup. Obviously, I still have to run it. Because of the mana system, you're never going to have a deck that every single card is good against everything. So I'm okay with it being bad against Patron because it does so well against pretty much every other deck. It has its uses. Keeper of the Grove is an amazing card, just utterly amazing. Like after playing with it in Arena, playing Druid in Arena and choosing Keeper of the Grove so many times, I just realized it's so powerful at every single point in the game. In the early game, you can Innervate it out, kill their guy, put a 2/4 on board, and start getting away from some aggression. In the mid game, it lets you make some trades with some of your earlier minions that are left over. And in the late game, it's that silence that you're always praying for. It has good interactions. It keeps you in the game against Handlog because it outs Drake so well. Just overall amazing card. Paladin Treader, I got nothing to say about Paladin Treader other than, you know, it's the best 4-drop, so you play it. Azure Drake. Azure Drake is one of my favorite cards in the game, and it has its place in this deck much more than I think any other deck aside from probably Rogue, because it puts a body on board, which this deck wants to do more than anything. It draws a card, which gets you close to your combo, and it makes your swipe and Wrath much better. So it's like, it's such a good spot in this deck. People have been cutting it to 1. Some people don't play it at all, but I feel you have to play it. And a lot of times, swipe Azure Drake just decimates boards. So you have to play it. 2 Druid of the Claw over Sludge Belcher. I play 1 Belcher, 2 Druid of the Claw, and this is something that was up for a debate in my list for a very long time. And I set it on this because Druid of the Claw can go charge, so it's more versatile. That's one reason. 2, they have pretty much the same stats. Sludge Belcher gets better stat, or gets a little bonus because it will survive 2 hits no matter what. Druid of the Claw has a little better stats as 4 attack will kill something. But the main reason I have for running Druid of the Claw is there's no downside of getting a slime and that slime being bait for Patron. So Druid of the Claw is one of the few ways to set up your board to stop them from being able to just kill you with Deathbite swing, and then next turn Deathbite whatever you play into an Enraged Patron. Druid of the Claw does something to stop that, so that's why he got its spot. Harrison Jones definitely deserves a spot, and I've said many times if you watched any of their videos how I feel that weapons are the most broken thing in the game. Imagine a minion that has charge and survives 2 attacks or whatever the durability is no matter what. Obviously that's crazy good, so anything to deal with that. And the best deck in the game, the most broken deck in the game right now, is a weapon class deck which relies heavily on its weapon going off when they want it to. So Harrison Jones pretty much I'll fit in wherever I can. Force of Nature, combo, it's a combo deck. The point of the deck, people cut it to 1 to make the deck more consistent, but then I'm wondering, like, why are you running Druid then? Like, what are you trying to do with your Druid deck not running combo? Like, it's the whole point of the deck, so I would never see myself running more or less than 2. You can use one of them to just clear a board or set up a nice board state for you, but if you only have one, you can't really do that because then you just lose without combo. Emperor Tharsian gave this deck a humongous boost, one of the better decks that goes in. It makes your combo just ridiculous. If you have both combo pieces, you can play Tharsian on 6 and combo them on 7. That's about 14, 19, 20, 21. That's ridiculous. Like, it's so much damage, and it's not really fair in this deck. So you look for unfair cards in this game. Sylvanas, just a good card, good against control. You can Wrath it if you need to kind of take their best monster. It's a card they really don't want to ignore. It really stops them from developing their board the right way. They have to overdevelop it in a bad way. It just does so much. I mean, I love this card. It's pretty much auto-include in any deck I feel it'll fit into. Engine of War. Now this is an interesting card. At first glance it seems broken. It's a 7-drop to draw 2 cards or heal, but if you look at it a little further, the heal isn't that much. It's definitely not efficient, seeing that Healbot is a 5-drop and heals for more. Draw 2 cards. You've got to remember in the late game where this card should be popping out, unless of course you cheat it out with Innervate, and that's why Druid's good. But late game, you want your cards to really impact the game. Like, me drawing 2 more cards in a normal deck isn't really going to do too much if those cards aren't of the same quality that my opponent's dropping, such as like Boom or anything like that. The cool thing about Druid is I'm looking for combo. Every time I enter the lore, I'm looking for combo pieces, so that's why he's a spot in the deck, but it's not entirely broken, so don't put too much emphasis on something in it. Sometimes you need just to make a better board state. Or if you already have combo in hand, think about what you're really trying to accomplish by dropping this 5/5 and drawing more cards that you probably won't end up playing. Dr. Boom, it's broken. If the deck can in any feasible way play it, I will. So that's pretty much the deck list, why every card's in there. Over the matchups, so I'm not going to really include Shaman and Priest. I don't know too much about those decks. I don't play them personally. I think I have 0 wins with each one. And they're not big in tournament or ladder right now. They're just underpowered. Hopefully with the new expansion or whatever, they'll get better, so we'll have a bit more diversity, but right now I'm just going to ignore them. Mage, your favorite against Freeze Mage. You have combo, you have heal, you have armor, which is really relevant. So just play it really smart, save your lore until they Alex you, and you should get above where they can kill you, and remember they can't freeze you from comboing them. Also, another cute little interaction is you can Keeper your Grove, silence your own guys, and go through freeze like their Frost Nova to kill them. So that's important. The Tempo Mage and Mech Mage are going to take full advantage of you trying to be passive in the early game to try to play Wild Growth, and those are just bad matchups. They're really hard to deal with. They take full advantage of what your deck tries to do, and they go in the opposite way. Horrible matchups. Tempo Mage and Mech Mage are some of your worst matchups. Not much to do about it. Just hope they stumble. That's it. Warlock. It's a lot better now. Warlock used to really, or Zoo specifically, used to really strike you because the early Zoo was just really early game. Like Flame Imp, double Flame Imp in every list. They had the Wolf and all this, Sea Giants. So it was a really early game, which overwhelmed you early on, just as the Mech Mage did. Now it's a little better because the deck just put in better cards. It's more of a mid-range Demon Zoo now. So while I think that deck as a whole got better, its matchup against Druid got worse. Still wouldn't say your favorite. but it's definitely like 60-40 now as opposed to like I felt 80-20 sometimes. So that's nice. Handlock, you're unfavored. There's a lot of debate about it, but I don't think you can really win that matchup consistently. The only way you win that matchup is if you start great with growth, innervate something out ridiculous, and just they don't have an out for it. But if you draw those hands, you should beat anything anyway. You just have no way to deal with molten taunts or just big taunts in general. They have heal. Like a lot of times when playing Druid, you're going to be stuck in spots where you're like, I kill them unless they taunt or heal, and you're going to be Handlock's a deck that has massive amounts of both of those things. So that's just not a spot you want to be in. I just play the matchup smart. Try to keeper the right things. Like don't always keeper a Drake if you don't have to. Make sure, because you might need to keep that keeper later to get through a big ass taunt. So it's a hard matchup to play. Then versus like Mallylock, it's 50-50. Like they're just not quite as scary with their taunts, but they can burst you. So 50-50 for that. Rogue, Rogue's not really relevant too much anymore, but just real quick touch over it. You're definitely favored. They have to deal with your minions by hitting them with your face. That gives everyone your minions charge. They go low, you combo them. That one's just just textbook. You beat them because they go low and you combo them. They don't have taunts. They don't have too much heal. Every now and then play heal bot, but you know it brings the power of their deck down too. So it's actually kind of nice they do play heal bot. Druid mirrors are the worst things in the world. There's nothing you can do either side. You just play your cards on draw. Hopefully they didn't growth before you growth, because then they're playing their better cards before you are. You're gonna run into it a lot in tournament on ladder, but that's just the nature of playing the best deck sometimes. Warrior's an interesting one, because Patron being the best deck, you don't have a great match against Patron. Like you can't really do much against their turn 4 Despite, turn 5 Inner Rage, Patron, swing with Despite. Pretty much clocks up the game right there. Hearthstone does kind of help with that, so that's an unfavorable matchup. But the cool thing is that Patron being a big deck kind of brought back Control Warrior into being played, and as pretty much anyone knows, that double combo Druid destroys Control Warrior. Like it just puts out too many big threats too fast for them to deal with. But armor doesn't matter because you can combo them from ridiculous ranges. So it's 50-50 honestly on ladder if you're going to run into Patron or Control Warrior. Honestly, I don't know why. I think Patron's the much better deck, but you don't see it a lot on ladder. Maybe it's the skill level of the deck that keeps people discouraged from playing it. Against Paladin, you're favored. I mean, for the very, very small reason of when they Peacekeeper, that's a minion they need to ignore now. They don't want to Peacekeeper it and then try to mess with it, really. So they leave bodies on board. And if they're leaving bodies on board, that just sets you up to Savage or combo them. So that's pretty much like everything's 50-50 aside from you keep more little guys on board and they can't really threaten game. So you get the chance to draw into whatever you want. And because of Patron, you're running Harrison now, which puts the matchup a little bit even more in your favor. Hunter, you're you're pretty favored against Face Hunter, just because you can innervate out, Keeper the Grove, kill their Knife Juggler, put the body on board, stop some aggression. You can kill them really early with Savage Or. You have heal, you have lots of taunts, so you have everything you want to do to deal with Face Hunter. Against Midrange Hunter, the game's defined by Freezing Trap, because your deck runs a lot of bigger minions. You can't just you don't have like tokens or whatever to just throw into their Freezing Trap. So that's why that matchup's unfavored. The cool thing you can do is like you can force a nature and just use one of your 2/2 guys to bait out a Freezing Trap. It goes back to your hand, and now you have another free Freezing Trap bait. So it's little things you can do to try to make the matchup better. But still, it's slightly unfavored. So overall, this is it's not the best meta right now for Druid, but it's just a testament to how good Druid is that it's still a player in all kinds of major tournaments and a player on ladder. So if you can master this deck, it's pretty much a deck that's going to be good for, I don't know, along with some new crazy cards come out for other classes, it's a deck that's going to be good for a very, very long time. So you'd do well to master it. So until next time, follow us on Twitter at HS_perfectcurve. Until then, remember, perfect is not impossible.